Thank you, thank you. I'm so happy to have you all here for the Soul Technologies New Products Workshop. And I'm specifically happy to be able to show off our flagship product for 2023, GGolem. Is that a rock? Close, but if you look carefully, you can see that it's actually a picture of a rock. See, GGolems are like rocks, except they're stored securely on the blockchain. Will it be able to perform the functions that we've come to expect from rocks? Will it be able to make a link board like Adamancipator, for example? It can build link boards like Adamancipator. I see. Well, the main upside is that each of your specific GGolems will be individually numbered and protected using a state-of-the-art security system provided by GGolem Invalid Dolmen. Well, Zyzen, I've got to tell you, I don't feel comfortable investing in GGolem at this time. Well, I'm not here to pressure you. Pursue GGolem on your own time, and if you would like to invest, please reach out to one of our sales experts. Before I go, though, I do want to let you know, one of the GGolems is a doggy. After hearing that, I am now interested in purchasing 1 billion GGolems. Good afternoon, Jank enthusiasts. I'm MBT, and this is 10-Minute Testing. For those of you that are unaware, I have a Patreon, and every month my loyal patrons have the opportunity to nominate and then vote for one 10-minute testing. This month, they decided the best use of their money and my time was GGolem. So here's the list. I gotta say, the Bystials have made deck building a hell of a lot easier. I don't even really have to think for about a quarter of the deck list anymore. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. But first, this video is sponsored by Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck just got a huge redesign, but it's still the #1 place to go for a pack simulator, a card database, and a wealth of strategy articles. I personally use the site to post every 10-minute testing list and every Chalice Line Monthly Top Cut entry. Give it a look at www.ygodeck.com. With that, let's get into GGolem. GGolem is a series of rock type. Huh? They're not rocks. No, but they are rocks. They're literally rocks. They're all named after rocks. One of them has rock in the title. Okay, sure. And I guess if the Plunder Patrol ships are fiends, then anything's possible. GGolem is a series of Cyberse monsters used by the Earth AI in Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains before Go Onizuka crushes him into a fine powder and snorts him to gain an unfair advantage in speed duels. Spoilers, I guess. It's a shale, but this series of monsters isn't particularly inspired, designed only to be used in a single duel, and mostly to communicate that the Earth AI is desperately in love with the Aqua AI. But its individual monsters do accomplish some stuff that no other archetype can. Notably, GGolem's Stubborn Manir pluses when it's reanimated, GGolem Invalid Dolmen turns your co-linked monsters into towers, and GGolem Pebbledog represents something like 6 link material. Given the outrageous amount of generic cyber support, it seems pretty likely that there's something we can accomplish with these non-rocks. And as it turns out, there is. The GGolems round out the lineup for a deck that desperately needed just a few more playables, Heat Soul Control. Seasoned Cyberse veterans might get sentimental remembering this deck. They can tell you that while Heat Soul Control was good at, well, making Heat Soul, it suffered from 2 major problems. Firstly, its turn 1 boards were easily run over, and when you're paying life points to draw from Heat Soul's effect, that's usually a death sentence. Secondly, what you could draw off of Heat Soul on your opponent's turn was too low impact to make much of a difference against an opponent's setup combo. Not to quarry, however. The GGolems, along with the Math Mechs, do a nice job of building powerful boards, triggering Manir's effect through Transcode Talker to ultimately end on Firewall and Invalid Dolmen. And the Bystials do a bang-up job of being, well, actually good hand traps that you can draw off of Heat Soul. So with that, let's get into the card by card. First up, the hand traps. 3 copies of Bystial Druisworm, 3 copies of Bystial Pizza Hut, and 1 Bystial Serenir. We're also playing 3 copies of Skullmeister and 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. These are the flex slots. You could sub these out for additional copies of Serenir or maybe Ash Blossom, depending on what your local metagame looks like. After that, the GGolems. We've got 3 copies of Rock Hammer. If this card's in your hand, you can discard another Cyberse, reduce its level by 2, and you contribute it to special summon 3 GGolem tokens in defense position, also your Cyberse locked. After that, we've got GGolem Pebbledog. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add to your hand or special summon a Pebble Dog from your deck. Also, your Cyber's locked. If it's sent from the hand to the graveyard, you can add any GGolem card from your deck to your hand, and of course, both of those effects are a hard once. We are also playing a sizable Math Mech package, 3 circular, 2 sigma, 1 diameter, and 1 subtraction, and because we really want to get to Alimbertion, we're playing 3 copies of Parallel Exceed. After that, we've got 2 copies of Code Generator, 1 Microcoder, and 1 Dotscaper. All of these are great for making additional monsters on your side of the field and for late setup combos. We're playing 3 copies of Cynet Mining, 1 copy of the searchable Math Mech Equation, 1 copy of the searchable Gravity Balance, as it's always treated as a GGolem card. This allows you to target 2 Earth monsters with the same name that are banished or in your graveyard, could be one of each, special summon them both in defense position, negate their effects, change their attack and defense to 0, and destroy them during the end phase. Also, if a GGolem monster you control be destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. We're playing a Called by the Grave, and of course 1 copy of Cynet Conflict for additional negation on end boards. In the extra, space is very tight. We've got a copy of Primath Mech Alimbertion, Dignified Trithillion, Crusadia Astrum, Firewall Dragon, Access Code Talker, Invalid Dolmen, Transcode Talker, Heat Soul, Stubborn Menhir, Code Talker Inverted, Splash Mage, Update Jammer, Cyberse Wicked, GGolem Crystal Heart, and Link Haribo. So with that, let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against Branded Despia, and honestly, it's shocking just how powerful this archetype was pre-Pote, and how absolutely nowhere it's been post. Our opponents going first are going to begin with a copy of Branded Fusion. I don't play Ash Blossom, so get your copy of Lubellion using a Fallen of Albaz and a Tragedy. They're going to activate the effect of the Lubellion and the Tragedy in sequence in order to go into a Mirror Jade before normal summoning, you guessed it, a Luber the Boober of Duber. From here, they're going to set 2 cards, a Forbidden Droplet and a Branded Banishment, but we should be able to do this. We're going to begin with a copy of Cynet Mining. We're going to pitch a Dotscaper, which can then be summoned. We're going to link off for a copy of Lingaribo, which contests the banishment, forcing our opponent to go for a Mirror Jade. Okay, great news. From here, we can go for Rockhammer and then trigger the effect of the Pebble Dog that we pitched for another one. We're going to normal summon the Rockhammer and activate its effect for 3 tokens to our side of the field. Unbelievable. From here, we can go into a Stubborn Menhir and then use that as link material for Crystal Heart, which is going to bring back the Stubborn Menhir, triggering its effect. Stubborn Menhir is going to reanimate this copy of Dotscaper. Then afterwards, we can start link summoning. Down comes Invalid Dolmen, and afterwards, we're going to activate Gravity Balance for both of those Pebble Dogs back. From here, we can make a copy of Transcode Talker. We're going to activate the effect, and that's going to eat a Forbidden Droplet, but no big deal. We should be able to do it from here. We'll make a copy of Access Code Talker and reveal to our opponent that the Lingaribo didn't matter at all because we have the out to the banishment. We'll Called by the Grave this copy of Tragedy. They'll activate the effect because it was banished, but Called by the Grave still negates it. We'll go for Access Code Talker and get in for 100 over lethal. Woof. Our second game is up against Drytron, and oh, don't boo this Mystic Mine. They've only got a couple of hours of this left. Let them get it out of their system. Our hand is looking very, very good. We're going to begin with a copy of Cynet Mining, pitching this copy of Druisworm to grab a copy of Circular to hand, and let's do this line now, I suppose. We'll go for Circular and Sigma. We're going to trigger the effect of the Sigma, then the effect of the Circular on field to grab an equation. Next, we're going to overlay for a copy of Alimbertion and activate the Alimbertion effect in order to add from deck to hand, you guessed it, a copy of Diameter. We're going to normal summon that Diameter and use its effect to bring back a Sigma before we link summon a copy of Wicked, and then use Equation to bring back this copy of Sigma so we can trigger the effect of the Wicked, banish this Alimbertion, and grab another Sigma. From here, we can go to Code Talker Inverted, which is going to allow us to summon the Pebble Dog from hand, triggering its effect to summon a Pebble Dog from deck. After that, we can use the Code Generator in hand to make a Transcode Talker, and then set a copy of Dotscaper, which will get reanimated. From here, we can start going into the GGolem, Stubborn Menhir, and Invalid Dolmen. We'll trigger the effect of the Invalid Dolmen, then the effect of the Transcode Talker, bring back the Stubborn Menhir, which still triggers it. We're going to go ahead and bring back this copy of Pebble Dog, and then we'll make a Lingaribo, a copy of Crusadia Astromax, and a copy of Firewall Dragon, co-linked to everything. We'll pass back to our opponent, who's going to begin with a Fafnir here. Afterwards, going to fire off a Nova in order to summon an Alpha, and oh my god, my zones! I'm just kidding, my cards are incredible. They're going to go for a copy of Mystic Mine afterwards, and then use Alpha in order to bring itself back. After that, they're going to go for a Benten in Graveyard in order to grab a, Vanity's Ruler. Well, I guess that's kind of a problem. The only issue is they kind of have to decide if they want to keep the Vanity's Ruler up or go down to a low monster count while they have the Mystic Mine on the field. They opt for the latter, and that is something we can beat. From here, we'll use the Microcoder we drew to go into Heat Soul to go into Access Code Talker. We're going to activate the effect of the Access Code Talker, and our opponent's going to concede. So it's time for Game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's on... what else? Ishizu Tearlament. Now, while our hand is functionally identical to the same one we had last game, we are going to play it a little bit differently, and that's because we've opened Cynet Conflict. In order to keep that Omni online, we're going to need a Code Talker as part of our end board, so we're probably going to go for Heat Soul here. First, let's do the circular line. We're going to go for an Alimbertion, normal summon this copy of Diameter, trigger the effect of the Diameter, bringing back this copy of Sigma, so we can go into a Cyberse Wicked before equationing back a Sigma in order to trigger the effect of the Cyberse Wicked and grab ourselves another copy of Sigma. We're going to go into an Inverted here. That Inverted is going to summon out a Pebble Dog. Pebble Dog this time is going to add the card to our hand. Then afterwards, we can use the code generator for Decode Talker Heat Soul, which is going to be our monster for Signet Conflict. Draw a card, then send a copy of Dotscaper to the graveyard in order to link summon a Stubborn Manir. We'll go into Transcode Talker, then trigger the effect of the Transcode Talker to bring back the Stubborn Manir, then trigger its effect to bring back the Pebble Dog. After that, we're going to be able to make ourselves a copy of Invalid Dolmen, which we can activate the effect of to trigger the Pebble Dog that we added to hand, and grab ourselves a copy of Gravity Balance. That's going to bring back both those Pebble Dogs so we can have 2 more material, and go into a copy of Firewall Dragon and a Linkaribo. We're going to set 2 and pass back to our opponent. Loving this, activate the Heat Soul and draw phase, and another hand trap? Don't mind if I do. Our opponent's going to begin with a copy of Keldo. We are going to banish that Agido before it can actually trigger its effect, and then afterwards we're going to follow it up with a Sheeran. We will conflict that, hoping it's their only name, and it sort of is. Merly has to whiff here, and oh my god, boy, did it not ever. Okay, they're going to go for Suliak and Kelbeck, chain blocking the Kelbeck so we can't Skullmeister it. Then they hit Havnus, Scream, and Agido here. Unfortunately, the Skullmeister is going to do nothing in this position. They're going to grab themselves a copy of Crime and then make themselves a Kitkalos, activating the Kitkalos to get a copy of Rhino Heart to hand. Here we can activate the Firewall Dragon in order to bounce that back, and since they can't tag out, they're just going to make an Elf and concede. So it's time for game 2, and oh my god, we do not have a convincing out to Zombie World. Okay, no big deal, no big deal. We've got the Lightning Storm. They're going to begin with a copy of Keldo. They're going to activate the effect of the Agido in Graveyard. We will Skullmeister this. Unfortunately, they have also drawn Herald. Just a couple more hours. They're going to bid in 5, including a copy of Merly and a Kelbeck. They're going to go ahead and fusion summon a copy of Kitkalos and mill 5 additional ones. Though they whiff, that ensures that their Kitkalos into Merly into 8 is going to be a whopper. They're going to mill 8 cards here, triggering the Merly and the Kitkalos in sequence in order to hit a Havnus and a Scream and a Beast. They're playing Shaddolls. Okay, well, we can banish this copy of Havnus at least with our Druisworm, but it's a cold comfort. They're going to go for a Terraforming here in order to get a Pellerino. They're going to activate Pellerino, and what do you know? They haven't committed to their normal yet. Rhino Heart here is going to send from deck to graveyard the only name they haven't used, which of course is Sheeran. They're going to go for Sheeran into Rukalos before making a copy of Elf, activating Zombie World, setting a trap, and passing back to us. Bad. We are going to immediately attempt to leave main phase, at which point they are going to activate the effect of their Elf. We'll do so anyway after they go for the Merly and get to trigger Suliak and a name in order to grab a Havnus to hand and send that Shaddol back for an El Shaddol Winda. We do get to walk into the Rukalos. We take 5 here, trigger the Druisworm to eat the Elf, and then in main phase 2 can fire off the Lightning Storm. They reveal the trap is not Suliak, it's Crime. So it's time for that all-important game 3, and oh my god, 2 Bystials plus Super Polymerization? Well, hold up. Actually, we don't have too many really good targets for the Bystials. Plus, you better believe we're playing around Super Polymerization in game 3, and I don't see a tier name. Yeah, we might be able to do this after all. We're going to begin with a copy of Rockhammer, pitching a Pebble Dog to the graveyard. We're going to trigger the effect of the Pebble Dog in order to grab from deck to hand a Gravity Balance. Afterwards, we're going to go for a Circular, sending a Sigma, and regrettably, that Sigma is a light monster. Okay, down go the Chaos typings. Let's normal summon a Rockhammer. It's Earth's turn, baby. 3 GGolem tokens to our side of the field. We're going to put 2 of those into a Stubborn Manir, which will trigger the Parallel Exceed in our hand. That's going to summon a Parallel Exceed from deck, and then afterwards, we can go into a copy of Transcode Talker, targeting the Manir in order to trigger the effect of the Manir when it is reborn. We'll bring back this copy of Pebble Dog, then afterwards, we can go for a copy of Invalid Dolmen. We'll go for Splash Mage here to bring back this copy of Rockhammer. Then afterwards, we can link it off for a Heat Soul. We'll trigger the effect of the Heat Soul to draw a card, and then we'll make a Linkaribo into an Astrum, into a Subtraction, targeting the Heat Soul, so we can make ourselves a copy of Firewall for extension this time, adding back the Circular before activating Invalid Dolmen, pitching it to draw a card and go into Crystal Heart, bringing back the Dolmen, so all of our monsters are protected. We'll pass back to our opponent. They'll draw, and still no name. They'll activate Saronir and concede. So we're back with the deck, and it rocks. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1. The Math Mechs. If you've been mourning the loss of Pote's third-ish best deck, don't worry, Circular has found a new home. The Wicked line is right at home here and really adds some oomph to a deck that's gotta find its new pieces. 2. Options. The GGolems are just so much material. After you know what your opponent's doing, it's not difficult to pivot between powerful Cyberses specifically tailored to their game plan. And 3. The Bystials are a godsend. Someone at Konami desperately wants us to play Heat Soul, I'm convinced. And the cons. 1. While you've got a lot of different archetypes that all play well together, they're not always easy to find. Coder and Pebble Dog can only be searched off of Signet Mining, and Hammer is a 6, so you kind of have to draw him. I've honestly been considering Small World just to get the right stuff more often. 2. Hand traps just aren't fantastic right now. The 7 Bystials feel good, but after that you've got 2 or 3 playsets that are only okay. Imperm's great going first or second, but miserable to draw into, and Skullmeister's got a ton of utility against the best deck, but literally 0 versus the second. It's going to be a tough call to make. And 3, the extra deck is tight. Like Math Mech before you, you desperately want to play more stuff, but your mainline combo is so resource intensive, you don't really have that luxury. All in all, I'm taken aback by how solid this deck looked. I legitimately assumed it'd just be more anime filler garbage. Power to the Pebble. Thanks so much for watching. A big shouts out to all of my patrons, but specifically Elena Tincher, Alex Dominguez, Alex Perea, Allison Elliott, BB Poison, Big Game Home Video, Brett Henry, Chaotic Meatball, Crispy, Daniel Liu, Dank Magician of Chaos, TJ Elephant, Going Down Swinging, Grant Curry, Indiana Petra, John Piet, Jordan Kuntz, King Magic Ruler, Night Mary, Lilypod, Lockstone, Materiality, MBT Play Madolce, Megalith is Fake Goth, Mike Carlotti, NH6574, Rose Lapine, Sarah Routledge, Solar Flare, Tolarian 101, Troy Says Bi Erasure is Gay, Wave Motion Ganon, and Wonder Waffle. I couldn't have done it without you.